and Vicky, KE8BKY, will be bringing you this week's East Coast Reflector Tech Net number 635. On what? Oh my gosh, it's August 19th already. Where is this month going? Summer will be over before you know it. Our question tonight, before I forget, I always go to our team members and forget to tell everybody what the question is. The question tonight, what tool do you wish you were good with? What tool do you wish you were good with? And we're talking like soldering, maybe a scope, VNA, SWR bridge, and so on. Try to keep your answers simple. We already got an analyzer in the log if you're following along on the fetch log. So that's our question tonight. What tool do you wish you were good with? And again, something in the order of soldering, a scope, the VNA, SWR bridge, and so on and so forth. We'll get started. We'll see if any of our team members have anything that they would like to report. And let me look here real quick. Did we get any silent keys in today? Nope, no silent keys from our group, which is good. Joe just came in, 82F or TFB. Good evening to you, Joe. With the celebrity of the week, he just hopped into Zoom. And I'll take new stations to this net. See if we have any new stations to this net. And then we'll take stations with questions. And we've moved Kevin VE3BZ up into the team members where he belonged all these years, rather than make him wait till later to tell us what he has in his swapping shop. So any team members on the East Coast Reflector team have anything that they would like to report this evening? VE3BZ. Speaking of VE3BZ, good evening. Well, good evening, Dick, and everyone on the net. Kevin here with tonight's swap and shop listings. I have two. The first one is from Charles, KC6 UFM in Guatay, California. Charles has a Simo Solis, I hope I'm saying that right, hotspot for sale. That's a Wi-Fi hotspot. No SIM card required. Works on any US LTE carrier. Service plans start at $6 per month. Has a USB-C rechargeable internal battery. Supports 2.4 and 5 gig Wi-Fi. It is very small, fits in your shirt pocket. Used only twice and no longer needed. Works great for portable or mobile nodes when you don't want to use your phone's data. Asking $40, and that's including shipping in the lower 48, and PayPal only, please. And you can contact Charles at kc6ufm@gmail.com. And our next listing is from Richard, WB9CSP in Paris, Texas. Richard has a Yaesu FTM 1802 that he's looking to trade for either a Yaesu FT 7800 or FT 7900. The 1802 works, but has a shredded mic cord, but the mic still works. And Richard's email is wb9csp@amateurwire.org or telephone at 347-395-0930. Let me drop it for a sec.
reflector.com and contact ECR and click on SwapNet submissions. And, geez, answer to tonight's question, I guess a soldering iron. I do all right, but I wish I was a little better at it. All right, thanks, Dick. Back to you, VE3BZ.
Well, thank you, Kevin. Thanks for keeping all that straight. And you got to think a little bit on the question tonight, which is good. Hey, you mentioned Charles. Charles, KC6 UFM CFM will not be with us tonight. He's got another commitment. So if you got an antenna question that you were waiting to ask Charles for, you'll have to wait till next week, or come in on Thursday night at 8 o'clock to ask an Elmer, be an Elmer, in our Zoom room at 8 o'clock East Coast time. And I do encourage anyone that has lengthy questions or really wants to get in depth with something, or a very novice question, to come in, join our Ask an Elmer, Be an Elmer. It's a great program that we started back a while, and we've had a lot of success stories already. We've got a lot of people on the air, helped a lot of people make their first contact and so forth and so on. So it's kind of rewarding. So you'll have to save it for Thursday or for next week if you got an antenna question for Charles. Tomorrow night is open mic night, a new program that we started here a few months back at 8 o'clock, so come join us for that, of course. It's right here on the East Coast Reflector. And as many of you know, we've changed our format a little bit for our use net at 8 o'clock on Friday nights. It seems to be working. We've got a lot of positive feedback, so we're hoping that that's going to go onward and upward. And we're encouraging all use, licensed or otherwise. We've had 2 new use on the repeater or on the system this week that we've heard. We encourage, fathers, third party, kids that are interested. And we'd like everybody to come into the Zoom room. We'll be here, we're here at 7 o'clock, between 7 and 8 before the net on Friday. So if you're a youth, come in with your parents and meet the other kids, meet the net controllers and so forth. They'll be here, and we're going to try to make that first hour in the Zoom room kids or children oriented if we can. So we just need some participation. So come join us on Friday night at 8 o'clock. Anyway, does any other system team member have anything that they would like to report? Nothing. We have no silent keys that came out of our database from the East Coast Reflector family, but I do need to ask. I've neglected some weeks to ask, and I've been criticized for it. So does anyone have a silent key that they would like to have remembered here this evening?
Kilo, Mike 5, Golf Hotel. I have 2 of them.
Well, good evening, Mike. Albuquerque, New Mexico, KM5CH. Would you give them to us, please?
Kilo, Mike 5, Golf Hotel. We have 2. First one will be Charles Lion, November Mike 5, Charles Lima. November Mike 5, Charles Lima. And our second one will be Bob. He is from Spola County. His call sign is Kilo India 5, Hotel Charlie David. Kilo India 5, Hotel Charlie David. Back to the net.
Mike, we got Robert in Grants, New Mexico, KI5HCD, but we did miss the first one. If you could give us the first one again.
Kilo Mike 5 Golf Hotel. I apologize. Call sign will be November Mike 5 Charles Lima. November Mike 5 Charles Lima. And that silent key is, his name is Charles Lyon. Lincoln Young, Ocean, Laura is his last name. Good copy?
Make sure we got these right. November Mike 5 Charlie Lima, NM5CL Charles, and KI5HCD. Is that correct?
Affirmative. Good copy. KM5GH.
All right, as always, we could have a moment of silence for two silent keys that Mike from Albuquerque, New Mexico would like to have remembered here tonight. Charles, NM5CL, and Robert, KI5HCD. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Mike, for bringing them to the meeting tonight. Well, let's go to Joe. He's in the bullpen here. Let's find out who the celebrity of the week is. Good evening, Joe. KD2TFB.
Thank you, Dick. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be to everyone. I would have to say, yeah, I'd really like to become proficient with a VNA. That sounds like a good thing to master. So moving right along to this week's Celebrity Call Sign of the Week, like many of these episodes, the main source of information was the English language Wikipedia, and is therefore subject to the Creative Commons Attribution Share-alike 4.0 license. And with those legalities out of the way, our celebrity was born February 5th, 1943, in a small city in northern Utah named Clearfield. He attended Davis High School in the nearby town of Kaysville. In 1961, he enrolled at Utah State Universities to study engineering and then later business. In 1964, he transferred to the University of Utah College of Engineering, where he graduated with a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering. He was a member of Pi Kappa Alpha. Our celebrity worked at Lagoon Amusement Park in Farmington, Utah, for many years while attending college. He was made manager of the games department 2 seasons after starting. While working there, he became familiar with the arcade electromechanical games, watching customers play and helping to maintain the machinery. While there, he developed an understanding of how the game business operates. He was also interested in the Midway branded arcade games, where the theme park customers would have to use skill and luck to ultimately achieve a goal and win prizes. He liked the concept of getting people curious about the game, and from there, getting them to pay a fee in order to play. And so I don't time up Peters, I'm just going to drop it for just a couple seconds. I'll be right back. After graduating, our celebrity had moved to California from Utah with the hopes of being hired by Disney, but the company was not in the routine practice of hiring fresh college graduates. Instead, he got a job as an electrical engineer with Ampex. At Ampex, he met fellow employee Ted Dabney and found they had common interests. Our celebrity shared his ideas of creating pizza parlors filled with electronic games with Dabney and took Dabney to the computing labs at Stanford Artificial Intelligence Laboratory to show him a game called Space War. This episode is already running a little long, so as usual in these cases, I direct you to his fascinating Wikipedia page. As you can probably tell by me referring to just our celebrity, his name is somewhat rare and would kind of ruin the mystery. This week's celebrity call sign of the week is Whiskey 7 Delta Uniform Kilo, or W7DUK, which at one time belonged to Nolan Bushnell. Nolan was the founder of Chuck E. Cheese and co-founder of Atari. He's also credited with Bushnell's Law, which states, all the best games are easy to learn and difficult to master. They should reward the first quarter, as in putting a quarter in an arcade machine, and the 100th. And that'll do it for this week's Celebrity Call Sign of the Week. Kilo Delta 2 Tango Foxtrot Bravo back to net control.
Well, thank you, Joe. A little bit of history. Appreciate you coming in every week, Joe, and sharing your Celebrity of the Week with us. If you're new to this net, if you've never checked into this net, we'd like to get you up at the top and recognize you. So, stations new to this net. Call signs twice and solely. If you think you have checked in, well, put your call sign out. We'll tell you whether you have or not. This is Dick, WB2JPQ.
Good evening, Dick. Good evening, Dick. KJ, LCO. Bodie in Cherokee. Kilo, Juliet 5. Lima, Charlie, Oscar.
Well, good evening, KJ5LCO. Welcome to the Tech Net. You answer our question tonight. Once again, I'll read it. What tool do you wish you were good with? What tool do you wish you were good with? And some of our examples here in the chat box tonight or in the question box are soldering, maybe an oscilloscope, a VNA, SWR bridge, and so forth. Good evening.
Good evening. I do believe I will choose the oscilloscope. I think I'm pretty fair at it, but I could always be better. Thank you for taking my call and enjoying your program tonight. This is KJ5LCO. Back to you, kind sir.
Thank you, Brody, for stopping by and being our first new person to the Tech Net tonight. Who else do we have? Stations that have never checked into this net.
KE4 NTG Kilo Echo 4 November Tango Golf.
Walter, KE4NTG, you coming up red, indicating you have checked in here before. You are in our Tuesday night database, so I'll ask you to check in when we get to the fours, which are going to be second from last tonight. We're starting with 6, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is last, 5 was first last week. What else do I have? New to this net, stations that have never checked in to this net before.
A2 CDT, Whiskey Alpha 2, Charlie Delta Tango.
Hi, David. From Morton, New York. WA2CDT. Good evening, David, and you probably heard our question, and welcome. E30UA 58.
My answer to the question, I guess, would be a soldering gun. It's always kind of a challenging thing to solder coax connectors. SWA2ECDT, back to net control.
Soldering it is, a soldering gun, that's about the only thing you, in this day and age, well, unless you're lifting, working on power transistors or something that you need that much iron for. Well, thanks, David. Thanks for being there tonight. There's a VE3 that, that'll kind of come over the top of you. Is it VE3OEA? We have a question mark there. Is this Ryan?
First of all, I want to say I'm sorry for interfering. I apologize profusely. It's Victor 3, Oscar, Uniform Alpha.
Well, Oscar Uniform, or Oscar Uniform Alpha. Looks like you've been in here before, Rudy, as well. Unfortunately, you're coming up red on our monitor, so I'll have to ask you to stand by. To be fair, I'll have to ask you to stand by for till we get to the 3s. We're not doing too well tonight. Who else do we have? New users to this system. I know it's hard to remember. Don't worry about it. That's why we have a database, and that's why things are flagged. So we do the heavy lifting. Who else do I have new to the system?
Kilo Bravo 0 Romeo Bravo.
You got to get one of those those buzzers that, nope, KB0 RB. John, unfortunately, you've been in here before as well. Who else? We'll make this last call for stations that they think they've never been on this net before. All right, hearing nothing. We were saying earlier today that it's summertime and our attendance drops off. People are outside, at least up in where we're from, up in western New York. Well, it's raining. We're getting some much-needed rain here outside of Buffalo. Let's take stations with an amateur radio-related question. Like I said, Charles, KC6UFM is on assignment tonight, but he will be with us on Thursday in the Ask an Elmer, Be an Elmer in our Zoom room, and of course next week. So stations with amateur radio-related questions, please give us your call sign twice, and Vicky will get you on the log. Oh, this doesn't sound good at all. Stations with an amateur radio-related question. Call signs twice. Our connection count is down a little bit. We only got around 337 tonight, but like I said, it's summertime. Stations with an amateur radio-related question. I don't think we've ever had a net where we haven't had at least one question. Maybe I shouldn't have said Charles wasn't here tonight. I know we've had a lot of antenna questions that have been directed to Charles, but that might mean we'll have a big net next week. What do we have? Amateur radio related questions. Somebody sitting back thinking of a question that they want to ask.
November 1, Whiskey Echo Bravo, N1 WEB.
Well, Webb, maybe you can break the ice here tonight and know what's going on. Good evening to you. What'd you come up with tonight, Webb? You always have good questions when you have them.
Thank you, Dick, and good evening to the net. This is Webb, N1 WEB in Tennessee. And I got a follow-up question, or actually a follow-up to the question I asked last week. If you might recall, I asked a question that Charles answered very well about SO239 and PL259 connectors and how long those could be expected to last. Well, I came back from the Huntsville Ham Fest, and there was a booth there, and I'm looking for the name of the company. And this guy has a machine shop, and he makes his own connectors. It's the darndest thing. It's on Josh Nash's Ham Rdio Crash Course video of the booth tour of Huntsville. And this guy makes those devices that you put into a window so your coax cables can...
We got the devices that go through the window and you cut off, Webb.
Connected.
N1 WEB. Webb, you dropped out in the middle there. We got up to the devices for the window and you dropped out. N1 WEB. Webb, are you still with us?
I'm sorry, Dick, did I drop out?
Yeah, you did, Webb. We didn't know what happened to you. Abruptly dropped out. We got everything. We were all ears up to the device to go through the window, the features that go through the window. So start with that.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. I don't know what happened. It must have been something on my end. Well, nonetheless, the fellow that operates this company makes these pass-through sets that you put in the window so your cables can go through. And in the machining that he does, he makes his own connectors. And I thought that was just a pretty cool thing, considering that those things are such a commodity. And to answer the question of the night, you can put me down. I would like to learn how to use crimping tools better. You know, I make crimps frequently enough that I should know better, but still, sometimes I just don't do the best job that I could. And it might be the tool, but it might be the man behind the tools. Sometimes you just got to learn how to do things a little bit better. So with that, N1 WEB, back to the net.
Well, thank you, Webb, and hope you enjoyed the Hamfest. I saw a lot of pictures on different Facebook pages of people that had posted. So, Hamfest that I've never been at. I know a lot of people, that have friends that have gone over the years, but I've never attended. And it's always good to hear a follow-up from the previous week. And I do remember the question, so thanks for sharing that with us tonight. Who else do I have with an amateur radio related question or a follow-up question that they'd like to follow up from a previous week?
N6QDY, N6QDY.
I see you come up, David, and I also saw K0HAM, Dodge City, Kansas come up. Was there somebody on the Dodge City, Kansas toad?
Yeah, I'm just, I'm checking into the East Coast Reflector right now. Is anything going on? This is Kilo Foxtrot 0, Uniform Zulu Zulu.
Oh, Link, I thought that was you. I saw the K0HAM Kansas City come up. We didn't hear any audio, but I was hoping it was you. Welcome to the East Coast Reflector Tech Net. Link is one of the new hams that I had mentioned earlier this evening. We had two. We had one from South Florida and a Link here from Kansas, and I'll let him introduce himself in a minute, but let me go to David, Sacramento, California. David, what do you got on your mind here tonight? You got a question for us? N6QDY, and a Link, you just hang on for a minute, okay?
Yeah, Dick, N6QDY. Hello to everybody on the net. The question I have, and I've run into this from time to time, regarding ground rods. You go to a location and you set up a station and you want to set everything up properly, and you run into a location where it's just rockier than heck, and you just can't get a ground rod in there. What other alternatives do you have to putting a ground in an area like that? Any ideas?
Well, we'll put it out to the group, but I've over the years, I've seen people and heard about people. It is just rock, just like you say. And I know some have gone down as far as they can and literally bent the grad rod over and put it parallel to the ground. Is that the right way to do it? I don't know, but in some cases, what are you going to do short of cutting it off? Let's put it out to the group, and David, and see if anybody has an answer, and maybe they've encountered where they could not, absolutely, no matter what you did, they could not get a ground rod in. Anybody want to jump in here tonight?
This is KJ5LCO. Comment.
Hi, Brody. KJ5LCO.
We have solid rock after about 1.5 feet, 2 foot here in my region, Cherokee, Texas, USA. And we obviously go as deep as we can, try to put it in a spot that's moist, such as a air conditioner drain area. But we also try to tie into our local co-op ground that comes down off of a power pole if it's not too terribly far away. That's my 2 cents. KJ5LCO, back to net.
Great. Thank you, Brody. Anybody else want to make a comment?
KD2TFB.
Yeah, Joe, go ahead.
Typically, if you're in that situation, there's message rings and plates that you can find to bury those as deep as you can, like right next to the rock, and make a connection to that. Yeah, that's trouble when you try and meet National Electrical Code as well for grounding. KD2TFB, back to net control.
Thank you, Joe. I'm sure Charles might have had, I don't know if David's in with us tonight, but yes, he can certainly pop up. But Charles is probably going to have a comment on it. David, maybe you might want to save that for Thursday night. Ask an Elmer, be an Elmer, or come back next week and get some input from him.
That sounds like a good idea. I've searched around on Google too, and I don't know if this is a good idea, but I've heard of people literally, and I've never done it, I've just heard, this was one alternative they thought of, but they weren't sure, was to build up some dirt, you know, and they didn't say pack it in, but that's what I'm thinking, you know. And then I think they watered it or something like that. I don't know. Anyways, that was just another, I mean, build it up like 2-3 feet high or something. So, and I don't know if that would be something to consider as well. So, anyways, yeah, thanks, Dick. Thanks, guys. Appreciate the input. And to answer the question, Dick, I love soldering and everything, and that's one of the things I learned pretty good when I was in the Marine Corps. One of the things I really want to learn is and get good at is welding, literally welding. So back to net control. Thanks to Vicky and Scott and everybody else coming up here. N6QDY. Thanks again, Dick.
Well, welding, we'll put that in the welding category, and I guess it would be for towers. We're trying to keep in the amateur radio theme, but sure, welding for tower bases or any structure. So, thanks, David. Let me go to Link, KF0UZZ from Dodge City, Kansas. Link, why don't you come in and introduce yourself and tell us how old you are, and welcome to the East Coast Reflector Tech Net. You and I talked a few days ago, and good evening to you.
My name's Link, KF0UZZ. I'm just transferring from southwestern Kansas, Ford County. Got my license maybe a week ago, maybe a few days ago. I don't really know. I'm just tuned to the East Coast Reflector via All-Star. It's basically been my go-to, kinda, for basic QSOs. I think I've introduced myself. Back to net control.
Our question tonight, Link, and I know you're very new, but the question is tonight, what tool would you wish to learn more about? You know, would you like to learn about soldering? Would you like to learn about SWR bridges or scopes? Or do you have any thoughts that you'd like to share with us? That's number one question to you. And number two is, what got you interested in amateur radio?
I think I would be interested in soldering, because I think I'd like to get into electronics, so I can actually solder them together. And for that second question, I got into Ham Radio because I heard that I was really into the International Space Station. I really liked it, and I heard that you could communicate with it, or you could communicate through it using amateur radio. So I just got a little cheap HT and got my license, and now I'm here.
Well, that's great, and it's great to have you on the East Coast Reflector. I know you're on a repeater there. I guess you're has an All-Star node connected to it, if I remember our conversation back a few days ago. And whoever that node owner is, the repeater owner, is giving you permissions to move it wherever you want. So we're glad you found the East Coast Reflector, and we really would love to get you interested in our UseNet. I think we mentioned this to you, and I believe you checked in Friday night. Well, we'd like to get you in as a net controller as well. So come join us and send us an email. I don't believe we had a way to get a hold of you, but grab one of your parents and come into our Zoom room sometime, or send one of us an email. I can certainly give you an address from a parent or whatever. So we'd love to get you enlisted and work with you and let you get be a net controller on one of our youth nets. Would you be interested in that?
Are you calling me? Yeah. Yeah. I don't really want to end it here, I guess. But yeah, I gotta go do something real quick. If you guys don't mind. Yeah. I think I might just say 73 real quick.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Link. Didn't mean to belabor the issue here with you, but thank you for checking in. Hope to hear you on the East Coast Reflector. Youth are always welcome. All right. What else do we have? Stations with an amateur radio related question.
Echo 3 Alpha Charlie Echo. Victor Echo 3 Alpha Charlie Echo.
Ace is the place, Roger says. VE3ACE. Terry, good evening. Font Hill, Ontario. VE3ACE, yes. I saw somebody touchstoning on your node there, Terry. VE3ACE, are you still with us? Going on there, not sure. Maybe Terry will come back. It looks like they took that node offline for some reason. Well, amateur radio related questions. They're kind of slim and far between here tonight.
Question why you guys on Skywarn when you guys keep talking about All-Star.
The station on let me take the station on Echolink. Station on Echolink only. Was that you that asked about All-Star?
Listening to you on Skywarn and in the Midwest.
I'm sorry, you're very, very heavily deviated. The station on the same repeater that the link was on there, maybe you're the node owner on K0HAM. Would you repeat your call sign for us, please? I don't think we heard a call sign. We got Otis, N0TIS in there. We got you in there from Belmont. And I'm looking for the station that was on Echolink. Maybe that was Otis. Was there anybody else that tried to call in with a question other than N0TIS?
Kilo Echo 2, Charlie X-Ray, Quebec. Reference All-Star node.
Okay, John. I knew I saw the our conference server come up. Why don't you hang on? Let me go to Otis, Texas. N0TIS. Good evening to you. This is Dick WB2JPQ at 45 past the hour. The question tonight: what tool do you wish you were good with? And our examples are soldering, perhaps a scope, DNA, SWR bridge, and so forth. Good evening.
Hello, Dick. Hey, this is N0TIS, Otis, and I just really, I guess, had a comment. I think a lot of people have trouble with soldering, and I think a lot of it has to do with just patience, but probably the biggest thing is knowing the melting point of the solder, the type solder you're using. People just think you just turn the soldering gun on full blast and away you go, and you wind up, usually burning up the circuit board by doing it that way. But really, it's just knowing when that melting point is, and if you're trying to solder with a different type solder than what's on there, you can have problems too. So usually the best thing to do, if there is solder on there and you're repairing something, the best thing to do is just, get the solder sucker and just, get that solder off there and put new solder down. But wide open isn't always the right answer. Even though us guys, more is better, but not when it comes to soldering. You just have to have patience and know the melting point of the solder that you're using, and something with a rheostat on, something that you can you can control that heat on your soldering iron is really good. Those little cheesy Wellers that you just plug into the wall, those, they're great for, on the go, but if you're doing a project, get something that works really good. But yeah, soldering can be tough, but it's a lot of fun too. N0TIS.
All right, thank you for your comment. Could a comment? Well, the controlled station is. I guess the bottom line is you're not recommending all knobs to the right, Otis. Thanks for being there tonight. Thanks for jumping in. So here's Don. CXQ. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Dick, and the rest of the people here tonight on the Tech Net. My question is in reference to the All-Star node and how to go about getting one and getting it to work. I have researched it, but I'm just not having any luck with it. Maybe someone can give me a pointer or two. Back to you, sir.
I think we're going to need just a little bit more information, Don. Were you looking for something that was pre-made, it's a plug-and-play basically, or were you looking for a kit, for instance, that you put together, or were you looking to start from scratch? Got to give us a little bit more information, and maybe we can get you started in the right direction.